Brought to you by Express Care Health and Skin Center. Get in, get out, get better.
Hafide, everybody, welcome back. Now we're going to get straight into our topic because it is so critical here on the island of Guam, where things like exercise and diet, comparatively to our friends in the mainland, give us a much higher rate of childhood obesity. Once again, Dr. Jitka Lom is here. You are the owner of Express Care, so thanks for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks,
okay.
Jason.
Quantify, Dr. Lom, if you can, exactly when you begin to call things childhood obesity in terms of weight or body type.
So we go by body mass index, and that's a comparison of your height and your weight. And there's something called the 50th percentile. That's the average kid. Some kids might be below average, meaning underweight, and then many kids are overweight, above average. And once you get to 85% to the 85th percentile, that's classified as overweight. And when you're over the 95th percentile, you're obese. And unfortunately, many of our children are way over that 95th percentile, and extremely obese.
Well, what if you're just, there's that very popular joke, you're like, oh, I'm not fat, I'm just big boned. I mean, can you actually be, what's a more politically correct way to say it? Can you be portly, but not necessarily obese?
Well, there's all these really nice ways to say it, like chubby, chunky.
Exactly.
Right? And
more meat to love.
Right, yeah. And those are all really nice, but our bones are really pretty much very similar as far as their weight. And when you go by the body mass index, that sort of takes the big bone, small bone thing out of it. And this is science. This isn't somebody's opinion of how your child looks or any value judgment about the child. It's just facts of like, wow, this frame, this skeleton is carrying too much on it, and that means that there's going to be wear and tear on the skeleton, plus just too much metabolism for the body to handle.
Mm-hmm.
So you can imagine if your heart is equipped to take care of a 60-pound person, and suddenly your heart has to take care of a 100-pound person, it's working very hard. Same with your joints, same with your pancreas for diabetes and all of that. So basically your body is symmetrical and proportioned to take care of a certain weight. And once you're carrying a heavy load, I kind of compare it to carrying a heavy backpack or a big sack of rice all the time. Mm-hmm. It's very tiring.
Now, exactly how do we define childhood too? Does that go all the way up to 18?
It does, but for practical purposes, we're talking under the age of 16 for our kids.
Okay, so mid-range to little kids.
Mid-range, yeah.
Okay, how about, because, children obviously are different, and some, qualify under the late bloomer category. Like I had a high school classmate who we always said was, kind of like a chubby kid, and then over one summer, he just hit the gym, and then he started getting involved with football, and then he came back by our senior year, and he looked like a Greek god.
Yeah.
He was just like, hey, I just shed all that weight for some reason.
Yeah. So that's where people get into like baby fat, and they'll say, oh,
exactly.
Oh, my child just has baby fat, and they'll grow out of it. And let's hope they do. And what you mentioned is that he hit the gym and he started exercising, and that's often the key, change of some kind, right? Diet or exercise that will propel that child from being sort of wider to narrower and taller.
Mm-hmm. How do we know that we are, obese? I guess we could say, you said by a measurement of BMI and everything, but at what point do you say, okay, well, this is obviously a function of what my child's eating, how much exercise they're not getting, and maybe, like our lifestyle.
Yeah, and you're right. It's hard to compare because there are so many chubby children. So you may think, well, my child sort of looks like the rest of them. But to answer your question, how can you really know? Well, you can go online. There's something called childhood BMI calculator. Just Google childhood BMI calculator, and it'll take you to the CDC website, and you put in your child's birthday, height, and weight, and it will give you the number of how your child is doing, and it should be between 20 and 25. And as far as a rule of thumb, I think if your child is like 20 pounds overweight, you need to start working on it, start thinking about it. For most kids, definitely.
Okay, well, let's localize the argument now. And how bad is the problem of childhood obesity here on Guam?
Well, here on Guam, we do have really a massive problem, meaning that in the United States, about between 17 and 20% of kids are overweight or obese. That means like 1 out of 5 kids. Here we're closer to like 2 or even 3 out of 5 kids that are very overweight.
That's
and
alarming.
It is alarming, and they're at great risk for health problems in the future, because what we know about children is that if you're obese in childhood, you're much more likely to be obese in adulthood and to have all those problems much sooner. So let's say you're an adult that is overweight, and let's say you got diabetes at age 35. Your child, if they're overweight, has a much higher likelihood of getting diabetes way younger than that, in their 20s, or even in my practice we've had a couple of 15-year-olds walk in with type 2 diabetes, not the type 1 that's a childhood form, an adult form of diabetes. So, you know, these are very, very big problems. We've seen children that are 100 pounds overweight, and you know, that's a disease that needs to be taken care of.
What's the easiest thing that people can do at home, parents specifically, to you know, like if they either fear that their child is obese or their child has been diagnosed as being obese, what are some simple remedies that they can apply in the home?
Right, and actually, you know, they are simple to think about, but sometimes they're hard to do, and that's why we have the problem. This is the time of year when lots of people go in to do their school physicals. This is the time of year you can talk to your provider about how is my child doing, compare their height and weight, look at their BMI, and then talk about some of the things that you can do, which the simplest thing you can do is ask your child to drink water, not juice or sugary drinks, especially sodas. Even juice, there's a lot of people think juice is really a healthy thing. Juice is full of sugar, even if it's no sugar added, because of all the fruit sugars, the fructose, and sometimes high fructose corn syrup.
Even those juices where it says 100% juice, no sugar added, still has a lot of sugar.
You still look on the sugar section, on the carb section, and you will see that there's quite a lot in there.
You actually got on me once off camera. I was like, hey doc, I'm drinking juice, and you're like, no, actually that's high in sugar.
Not really healthy. Yeah, because our bodies aren't made to handle huge sugar loads through evolution. We never had, you know, sugar around. Candy was just a once in a while special treat. But anyway, so simple things you can do: have your child drink water, have your child do 1 hour of exercise, trade it for an hour on the computer or on the, you know, electronics, and look at the portion size that your child is eating. And don't ask your child to finish everything on their plate. That's such a common thing that we as parents do. Finish your food. But you know, if your child's already obese, if they don't feel like eating, don't force them.